Life after 50 may come with its own set of challenges, some expected, and some just pop up surprisingly. But life at this stage can also equally be fulfilling. In this video, I will share with you what it's like after 50, and hopefully you'll be able to pick up some ideas from this, and hopefully this may help somebody. I do not know. I do not have any notes for this. I'm literally talking from the top of my head. I guess I'm using this as a moment to reflect and also talk to my younger self. However, what I'm hoping to do is to address finances. I'm not a financial advisor. Emotional health as well as physical health. And these are things that do tend to pop up at this age, i.e. time, money, as well as your physical health seems to become a bit more, it becomes something that you think of a bit more often, or you suddenly become aware of. Well, that's happened to me. You realize you've spent half a century, and I thank God we may not have another half a century. We don't know. And even if we do, we want to have that in good health. The Bible says a wise man thinks ahead. And when you look at that verse very well, let's think about ants. So ants, what they tend to do is during the summer, they store up their food so they have enough for the winter. So for us, that could be our younger age. Have we stored up enough now that we're much older? These are questions I ask myself. Although I'm in my mid-50s and I thank the Lord. And like I'm trying to say, there's still time for you to make improvements, to make changes. So one of the many things that had come to mind is finance. Please bear in mind, I'm not a financial advisor. The reason I'm bringing finances up is because I asked myself, do you have enough finance to retire? Even though I really want to retire. I've asked myself, what would you be doing once you retire? And I'll get to that. So what I've been doing now, I started maybe about a few years ago really, before I hit my 40s, is we have been monitoring, have a good idea of our expenses. We've learned to reduce expenses where we can. We've done what we call decluttering, which is declutter the house and sell what we don't need. So we've been doing that for a few years now. We try not to accumulate unnecessary things. I've noticed the older I get, the less debts I want to be in. So paying off debts is something I've been doing. I know the mortgage might still be on, some people might still be paying their mortgage, but if that's the case, it's learning to add on and have a plan for that. That's the good thing about living in Africa. You buy your house outright. I don't know if that's still the case now. You just get that out of the way. And learning a skill. So now it's about learning a new skill that may generate passive income. I don't know what that would be, but there's so many opportunities out there. We now have AI. The internet is just almost blowing up. And the speed at which things are moving is surprisingly scary. So it's learning a new skill, joining groups. Where possible, start a new business is something I have thought of. It takes 2 to 3 years for a small business to be successful. So why not start one now? I have thought about investments, but then you also need to factor in how many years of growth. Remember in the beginning I mentioned time. Do you have another 10, 15 years to watch your investment grow? I don't know. People have to decide what's best for them. So these are things I've been thinking of. I've also been thinking of voluntary work. So some voluntary work, especially when you could work with churches, you could work with any charity organization. You have the opportunity to do the work and your expenses, they get paid. So these are things I've been thinking of when it comes to finances, aside from a retirement pack, which may not be sufficient at that point of retirement. I guess at this age, especially if you're still working, you most likely are working with the younger generation, which is perfect because the work needs to go on once you move on anyway. And I do appreciate the younger ones, but it gets to a point where you might start to have that sense of frustration And I'm talking more in terms of not the work in itself, but the type of job I do. I love what I do. But the people you work with could start driving you up the wall. And I get that every now and then. I learn to cope. I remember a friend of mine was saying, "Would you believe what happened to me today?" I said, "What the heck happened to you?" She said, one of these new staff came to her and was asking her to go and do A, B, C, and D. And she was like, "What the heck? She only started a few weeks ago or so, and she's so young. She's my daughter's age." And what happened eventually, she heard that this staff went to say, "Look, if she can't do the work, she can retire." So you imagine people already indirectly telling you to retire. These are your own colleagues, younger colleagues really, who feel you're a bit too old to work, not directly, but indirectly, and kind of just say things that are maybe not pleasant to you. We can still deal with that because I know we do have the resilience and we do have a reason why we continue to work. We still need to pay our bills, we need to eat, and we maybe haven't saved enough to exit work at this point in time. So when it comes to finances, these are things I am thinking of, and I'm sure there's a wealth of information. It's also about understanding your own finances very well. If there's a need to hire a financial advisor, I would do that, and I most likely will because I'm considering that. It'll give me a sense of understanding of how much we have, how much we need to retire, what we can do, and in what time frame. So that's finance. Now, the next thing I like to talk about is emotional health. I know from speaking to my friends who've retired, they do say to me, "You do have plenty of time at hand." And I guess I've asked myself, what would I be doing? At that time, you are not obliged to go to work. You can do what you want at that time. If you have children, they're most likely doing their own things, and you don't want to restrict your children to living in the house. I know some of my friends, what they did, which is so naughty of them, is expand on their house. They added another room so their child could live, older child, adults, who stay with them for as long as possible. But I don't think that's fair. But some people do it anyway. And it does save the child money, which is the older child money. But I don't think it's something we need to do. Give them their freedom. You've lived your life, let them live theirs. That's my view of it. But emotional health, which is equally mental health, what are you doing to cater for your emotional health? Because it's all to do with our emotions, our needs, our thoughts. How do we manage that? We'll have plenty of time at hand. What are we doing? Do we have friends, families that we can see? One thing I've want to do that I haven't been doing, obviously due to other commitments, mostly because you're working all the time, is start linking up with my older friends. I have a friend who every year they tend to travel as a group. So they're like maybe 10 or 20 of them, which I think is nice. And they choose a part of the world and they all go together. I think that's wonderful. It's a nice way of connecting with people because I think at this age, connecting with people becomes much more valuable. Um, and it's not just people of your age, but also younger people. Hence the reason why maybe voluntary work might be good. Church work, I love the church, I love the sense. Or anything that could still add value to the community. I was speaking to my husband a few days ago. He was telling me about this elderly lady. She was she was in her 90s. She was in the market selling goods. And he was like, "Why is she still there?" And I said, she needs to be out. She needs to do something. She needs to have a sense of value. And it gets her out to speak to people, to engage with people. I think as we grow up, we also need to think of our well-being, somewhere to let it out. I know the world has so become such a way that you can live without anyone or talking to anyone because we have the internet to talk to, not literally, but you could do everything you want online. But we still need that human interaction. And it's something worth thinking about before you retire, and start making links with people. That's what I believe. If you need counseling, sign up for counseling. If just take care of your emotional well-being and do it now. Studies shows that some people, once they retire, they become more depressed because you have so much time at hand to think about things. Look for activities, things that could engage you. People go on holiday, and this is why maybe I started with finances at the beginning, because some of the things we want to do, you need money to do it. And what's the point? So you retire and then you don't have enough money to travel 4 or 5 times a year because you're a bit more wary about what you have in hand. So I guess these are things to think of. Now, physical health is the last part, which is, like I mentioned, you suddenly become aware of your health, your physical health too, not just your emotional well-being, but your physical health. For women, especially at this age, you're either pre-menopause or you're in full-blown menopause, or hopefully gone through the whole menopause. There are things we could do to optimize our health, which is what I'm doing. At least going to the gym, trying to eat well, reducing my carbs significantly, which has been helping me so far. I'm still on the journey, because at this stage, you suddenly become aware of literally your whole body, your heart. We have to attend to our heart health, our lung health, liver, literally every part of the body. You suddenly can become aware of it. And some of us may have some health issues that we're dealing with. But the good news is, I believe the body in itself is very forgiving, because we've had time over the years to accumulate a lot of maybe nonsense food that we may have been eating. While we have conventional medicine to support us, I think we too can hopefully change our lifestyles to optimize our health, literally by eating well, exercising. Even after a major operation, you are encouraged to move. This is the importance of movement. So for physical health, the most important thing is to do your health checks regularly. I'm learning now to even start doing some of my health checks privately, paying for it. I rather do that than wait for the GP to call me for some of my health checks. So where possible, I just start to do the ones, if I'm worried about anything, I will go and do a check myself and pay for it. So that's why I have found this video quite difficult to make, and I'm not too sure why. And it's something I might come to another day. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you found some value in this video. I hope. And if you have, please kindly subscribe. Once I feel much more comfortable and maybe confident within myself, especially on YouTube, I would come back and share more with you. Have a lovely day. God bless you. Bye-bye.